ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Dari Noka.
For all the times that you rain on my parade, and all the clubs you get in using my name, you think you broke my heart, oh girl, for goodness sake. You think I'm crying on my own, well I ain't. And I didn't want to write a song, cause I didn't want anyone thinking I still care or don't. But you still hit my phone.
It's The Drive on your local radio station. We are ESPN Blacksburg, and a good Friday afternoon to all of you. My name is Paul Van Wagner. B-Rye is in the other studio taking your calls at 866-961-1430. 866-961-1430 is the number to call. You can also text us. The number is exactly the same, 866-961-1430. Darius and John Boy are here in the studio.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And Scott Nason is joining us, probably somewhere getting inappropriate benefits. How are you, sir?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about there, Paul. I work for a living and do not receive any inappropriate benefits.
Okay.
I'm here to talk sports. How are you, sir?
I am fantastic. I am absolutely fantastic. Living the dream. It's like, 60 degrees or something like that right now here in Blacksburg. So, got no complaints, my man. Got no complaints.
We had 3 inches of snow today, so that's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't miss that.
Beautiful.
I don't miss that one bit.
Hey, Scott, you're a Michigan State fan, right?
I am.
When is Izzo retiring?
Well, I think it'll be his own choosing. Of course, you have a lot of speculation going out, and I like to deal with real facts and hard evidence, not just some perpetrated by media. And having said that, it'll probably be by the end of the year. Go, fake, guys. Come on.
Lots of big soccer matches going on around the world right now, especially Champions League stuff, Europa League stuff going on. Premier League also happening. Teams are starting to gear up because in the not too distant future, we're going to have World Cup action minus Team USA. What are you excited about, Scott, this weekend in the world of soccer?
Well, lots that happened this week, Paul. Some good Champions League matches. They're at the Sweet 16 level, if you will, the round of 16. It's a two-legged round. You play the first one, and then you play the other one a couple weeks later. And, the team that I follow quite heavily, Chelsea, took on Barcelona at home, and the result wasn't the best. They did draw 1-1, but it was a good match for Chelsea. One of the best matches I thought they played all year. They hit a couple posts. They easily could have won that game. However, it really sets up Barcelona having a very good shot to advance because a 1-1 draw at home in a couple weeks means Barcelona could play to a scoreless draw and still advance because they have that all-crucial away goal. So that was a good match early on Tuesday. Bayern Munich, no trouble with Besiktas. They're gonna roll. They won that one 5-0, and a couple other matches on Wednesday. Manchester United was at Sevilla. They drew 0-0, so that sets them up pretty good to advance in theirs. And I know you're a big Shakhtar Donetsk fan, Paul.
Yes.
They won at home over Roma.
Love their tomatoes.
And so yeah, exactly. So some good matches. I mean, all the matches besides the Bayern Munich one were good, and Champions League is the best of the best, and I think this week showed just that.
You look at the Bayern Munich matchup. They really kind of did draw. I don't want to say an easy match against Besiktas, but it's not exactly Barcelona-Chelsea or a Man U, if you will. So for Bayern Munich, that seems like a pretty decent draw.
Yeah, they got the best draw of anybody because Besiktas, I believe they're a Turkish team. I mean, a good team, but it's a much higher level that they're playing. And, you see that in these competitions. It is really the luck of the draw. There are no brackets like the NCAA basketball Sweet 16 where you know who you will play next. It's a random draw when it gets to this level, and after this level, you got 8 teams left, and they do the same thing. They put them all in a basket, and they pick them out, and you play who you play. So a lot of luck goes along with winning the Champions League, especially when you get a draw like Bayern Munich did.
Hey, Scott, I have another question for you.
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking about becoming a Michigan State fan, and I heard the going rate was around $471.
Well, it depends where you eat or where you stay, apparently, so I digress.
Wow. I didn't realize that you were thinking about jumping on the Michigan State bandwagon.
Well, hey, a little bit of money goes a long way.
Well, that is very true. That is very true. All right, I like that. Olympics-wise, Mr. Nason, earlier before you started the segment with us, the big upset, I think that's probably an understatement, is Germany defeating Canada. Now, my question for you is, have you made a trip to see our good colleague and friend Tom Coates to make sure that he is okay after his Canadians got beat by Germany, of all things?
Well, I've been in touch with my Canadian brethren. I have a couple on my show, and boy, you want to talk about a bad week for Canada.
Yeah.
You start off with hockey. Okay. The Canadian men's team doesn't have the NHL players, so you can understand that, it may not be their best turn. But then as things progress, they end up getting to the semifinals, and they take on a German team that hadn't beat anybody in regulation.
Yeah.
And they lose.
Yeah.
And you go back a night before with arguably the best moment of the Olympics, as far as I'm concerned, that USA-Canada women's match, one of the best matches of any sport I've seen at any level. It was a fantastic one. Okay, so you know what? They've won 4 in a row. It's the first time since '98 that the U.S. has won the gold medal in women's hockey. So, okay, you didn't get the hockey, but you got curling. I mean, curling, nobody beats Canada in curling. Nobody, especially the United States. And, oh, wait a minute, they lost to the United States not once but twice in men's curling. Well, okay, so you're going to get the bronze medal easily. Nope, they didn't get that either. Well, you know what? You got the women's team. The women's Canadian curling team has done well. Well, they didn't even make the medal round, so it's a good thing that they still have their very handsome prime minister and some great beer, I might add, in Canada, because right now it has not been a good week for Canada.
Hey, Scott.
Yes.
I was doing some reading, and it looks like Michigan State's kind of a dirty sports program. Can you attest to that?
Well, we will see when the investigations come out. Apparently, it's many people that are investigating Michigan State, not just for the Larry Nassar situation, but apparently the FBI is now involved. And we'll just have to see how it all shakes out. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to take the fifth on the rest of Michigan State talk, guys. Taking my Fifth Amendment, baby.
Fair enough.
Well, I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. We've got a couple more minutes left in this segment. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. As far as the Olympics are concerned, are you surprised at not necessarily the lack of medals, I guess, for Team USA, but just the fact that, you look at Norway right now, Canada, Germany, total medals, they lead the way. USA's not even in there. The Norwegian team, 13 gold, 14 silver, 10 bronze. They lead in each individual category also. Not a great Olympics for Team USA from the winter aspect.
No, I think it hasn't been, and a lot of these people that we thought were going to have big Olympics have not. Lindsey Vonn being the prime example of that one. But you got these team sports that's, kind of making it a little bit easier to take. I mean, you look at the ladies figure skating last night. The U.S. does not do well. They didn't do well in men's. Some of the other events that you'd expect the U.S. to do well, but you got to give it up to some of these other countries and how they're performing. I mean, you look at Norway. I mean, this is a very small country. Granted, they do have the advantage of having winter most of the season and those mountains that they can do, but they're winning in all sorts of sports. I mean, not just the traditional cross-country skiing and some of the downhills, but they're winning all over the map. You see them doing well in speed skating. You see them doing well in the downhill in some of the events that normally they maybe don't do well. So you got to give it up to some of these other countries that maybe put a little more stock towards the Olympics than the U.S. does, because we got a lot of sports going on in the United States. It's not just Winter Olympics. I mean, we got lots of professional sports. We got lots of athletes. Maybe the U.S. needs to take a better look at getting some people more, in line to do better in the next Olympics in 2022. But U.S. has not done as well, but you got to give it up to some of these other countries. It's been some good stories and some fun sports to watch in the Olympics this year.
Hey, Scott, one last question.
Uh-huh.
If allegations against Michigan State turn out to be true, will you continue to root for the program?
I'm going to take the fifth on that. I'm going to see how things transpire. If these allegations are true and it is in fact found out, it will definitely make it a lot tougher to be a Michigan State fan right now. That I will say. We'll have to see how things play out. You can't take anything with a grain of salt as far as accusations. You can do that a lot, but we'll see where the chips fall eventually. Hopefully in the not-too-distant future. They got to sort this out, whatever happened, get it right, and move on. And if they need sanctions, then you know what? Death penalty. If all this stuff is true, death penalty. I'll say it right here and now.
Wow.
Hot take.
And we're saying that in a figurative sense, not actually.
Right.
I know
what you're saying.
You know where I'm going.
I know what you're saying.
All right.
Speaking of college basketball, right now, Joe Lunardi, and if you are looking for a team to root for, Scott, might I suggest Chicago Maroon and Burnt Orange of Virginia Tech?
I'm always pulling for the Hokies up here, Paul. You know that.
I know. We got to get you some Hokie attire. We need to get you all geared up. John Boy's all excited now because we started talking about Hokies.
Yeah, go Hokies.
Yeah. So right now, Joe Lunardi has the Hokies as a 10 seed, Scott. I kind of railed on this yesterday. Of course, Lunardi, a colleague of mine here, being an ESPN affiliate. But, you knock off North Carolina, you knock off Virginia, you knock off Clemson, yet you're still only considered a 10 seed. What do the Hokies need to do to actually get a legit seed? I mean, not that 10 is bad, and I mean, you're firmly in the tournament right now, but come on, man. Let's talk 5, 6, 7 here.
Yeah, I think so. I like being a 10 seed as far as teams that I follow. The school we've alluded to several times now, I might add. They seem to have done very well when they've been a 7 or a 10 seed. So I wouldn't let the seeding, get fans too upset. I mean, hey, you know what? Play with a chip on your shoulder. Play one of those number 2 seeds. We see a lot of 7s beat 2.
Yeah.
So, and a 10 beat 2s as well. So I wouldn't get too upset with the seeding. Do I think they should be a little higher? Absolutely. But there's still ACC tournament to play. Still have a few more regular season games. So they can still better their position as far as brackets with some more wins, like very quality ones they've had over the past few weeks.
Brian, do you have anything else for Scott, or can we let him go?
He answered all my questions satisfactory.
Okay. All right. Scott Nason, where can our listeners hear more from you, sir?
You can go to the podcast page of my sports show, The Game, and you can find that at thegamesportshow.podbean.com. And Brian, I'm glad those questions weren't scripted. I'm glad you just flew off the cuff
right
with some
off
of those.
the top
well
of the chrome
done, sir.
dome.
Well done.
Dirtier program right now, Louisville or Michigan State?
Michigan State.
Oh, man, I love it.
I gotta say what's going on. I mean, I can only turn a blind eye so long, Paul.
Scott Nason, I apologize for all of the tweets sent your way today. I don't really. Thank you, man, for doing this. We appreciate you.
Anytime, guys. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good weekend.
All right, take care. Scott Nason, there you have it. Real quick, before we take a break, I do want to ask you guys. I know, Darius, you were in yesterday, and we talked about this. Brady, I have to ask. What do the Hokies have to do, man? Like, seriously. I mean, I said it before. North Carolina, Virginia, Clemson, ranked teams. You've beat them. I mean, I'm looking at the St. Louis loss. I'm looking at the Syracuse loss, and I'm thinking, these wins are better than those 2 losses.
I mean, there's 3 wins way better than the 2 losses.
Yes,
personally.
yes.
Three quality wins.
Yes.
Over. I mean, you can take your pick on Syracuse, but the other losses.
I understand it's not going to be a 1 through 4. Like, I get that. Okay, I'm fine with that. But let's talk 5, 6, 7. Seriously. I mean, 10? Come on. You're telling me, if you're Joe Lunardi, you're telling me that let me see here. I'm just looking. TCU is better than Virginia Tech. You're telling me
because they beat West Virginia. I mean, that's very much their
West
own
Virginia
quality.
Can't finish a
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's their own quality win, though. Like, they beat West Virginia.
You're telling me Butler is better than Virginia Tech. Like, I'm not buying it, man.
It's just one of those. I've never bought it because this is a team and a program that if you go back to 2009, 2010, 2011, The Hokies won 20-plus games and had single-digit losses and didn't even get in the daggone show.
They went to the NIT that year, right?
Yeah. And, I mean, I might be one of the few, which I doubt I am when I say this, but I wasn't convinced last year that the Hokies were getting in until I saw it on the TV just because of all the screw jobs that they've had. And it's going to be the same way this year. But I think they take that non-conference a little bit too far. I mean, I think that, and when I say they, I mean Lenardi, but I think Tex was like 330th out of 360 or some crazy number or whatever. But
334.
334. But you got some impressive wins, and, if you beat Louisville and Duke and Miami are just two of the three,
Yeah,
I think
they finished 2 of the 3.
I think if you can't get in off that, then it's a bad system. But some big opportunities for Tech coming up. Haven't beat Louisville since '91. Would love to have another ranked win there against Duke. Would be the most ranked opponents the Hokies basketball team's ever beat in a season. Tied that against Clemson, but need to get some revenge over Miami too. But,
I agree.
I think they've made a pretty good statement so far, and buzzing the gang in the first 4 years. That's been pretty impressive.
You look at the losses. The only one that really on the RPI scale ranks bad is that St. Louis loss. St. Louis is ranked between 101 and 150. All of their other losses are top 50 RPI schools.
Yeah.
I mean,
so they basically
even
have
Syracuse,
one bad loss.
Right. And you still got North Carolina at Virginia, Clemson.
Yeah, still no respect.
On that list as wins.
Probably going to be the only team that won at Virginia this year. Or did West Virginia beat them at Virginia? Was that at Virginia?
I think that was
at West Virginia.
Or was it at West Virginia? I thought it was at like a tournament type deal.
At West Virginia.
Okay. So they're going to be the only team that wins at Charlottesville this year.
Yeah.
I'll go out on a statement and say that.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've been on the show since I was there. I believe that night, and this will be one of the highlights of my life forever, I think, I have been to louder funeral parlors than what JPJ was when those folks were filing out of there after the Hokies beat them. Loved it.
That's good.
Doesn't hurt my feelings at all. Quick break. When we come back, John Boy wants to talk curling. We're going to talk curling next. It's The Drive.
Carrying the message to other sports junkies.
It's intoxicating.
This is ESPN.